The following is a production of Fenix Media. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the company or its advertisers and may contain language that's unsuitable for younger listeners.
Welcome to the Dogish podcast, the only podcast dedicated to dog parents and the topics, events, and personalities impacting their lives today. My name is Jasen Arias, co-founder of Forever USA. And with me, as always, is my co-host, Miss Sylvia Wes, certified dog trainer, pet expert, and dog mom extraordinaire of Dog Up in This Bitch. How did I do today?
Holy smokes. He done did it, everybody.
Yeah.
Today's episode was like crazy awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to speak to Zach Skow, which like what a freaking honor that he took time out of his busy schedule.
Yep. Founder of Marley's Mutts.
Marley's Mutts. He's an incredible human being. We matched.
We talked about a lot of stuff.
By the way, if you're not watching the YouTube version of this, you're seriously doing yourself a disservice because the
YouTube version is going to have like race car talk. And it's going to have like extended stuff. We ended up talking for almost 2 hours today. Yeah. And the podcast is only 43 minutes. So.
Yeah. I mean, listen, like he's just a very cool human. And like, you know, the extended stuff, we always love getting to do with our guests because we feel like it gives our listeners an opportunity to appreciate them as just human beings, which I think cuts right to the core of the episode, which is just like meeting people where they're at. Well, let's get into it with Zach.
Yeah. Very cool. Let's go. Welcome to the show, Zach.
Thank you.
Zach, you made it. Your day was harrowing.
It was something else.
You tried to tell us without like telling our listeners and like we just wouldn't allow it. You know, we were like, a timeout. Your day sounds really exciting.
You should go change your shirt and then we'll talk.
Change your shirt. There was a costume change and everything, you guys. Like this has been the ramp up to this. Needless to say, we're all very comfortable. Jasen and I also changed our shirts just in like a movement of solidarity. I'm kidding. We didn't.
Well, did you notice that I stayed with tans because you said tans? I literally went and found the closest thing I had to tan.
When I saw you pop back up on the video, I was like, he's a good sport. We're going to be excellent friends. I appreciate I did notice. It was duly noted.
I'm putting in efforts here. You guys really accommodated me brilliantly. I told myself this morning when I left the house too, we're not canceling no matter what. I don't care what happens. And then sure enough, we got stuck inside North Kern State Prison and et cetera and so forth. And you guys were great.
No. Time out. You can't just et cetera.
It was the greatest phone call. I get a phone call like at 2:00 and he's like, hey man, they're not letting me out of prison on time.
So let me jump right in there.
Yes, summarize that.
Yes. So it's a super exciting day for us. This is probably the most exciting spiritual day for me in close to 2 years. Our Pawsitive Change inmate canine training program, which is a program of Marley's Mutts, is one of it's like my spiritual lifeblood. I feed so much of my spirituality, my purpose, so much of it is plugged into this program. And today we were welcomed back inside North Kern State Prison, which is a really big deal. It's one of the seminal locations of our Pawsitive Change program. But we've been running it on the outside. We've been running it at the fence during all of COVID because prisons are off limit. So we were finally welcomed back in. We had interviews today. So today we interviewed 37 inmates on the high security yard at North Kern State Prison to join our program, to join 20 or close to 20 student inmates who are already enrolled. You know, so many of our guys got out of prison or moved to lower security facilities during the off season, during COVID. So it was a whole bunch of new guys, and it's just really thrilling to be a part of because I'm there with, one of my best friends, Robert Villaneda, who's our lead trainer. He's a former Marine, an incredible guy who I seek to emulate in many ways. And he's a Hispanic male, Marine Corps veteran. And to see him get to go into prison and run our program the way he does and encourage other men of his background. You know, he's raised with 12 brothers and sisters in a Catholic household and with all the shame and the rest of it that goes with that. So to get to see him become such an incredible leader inside of prison and to lead these men to discovering themselves emotionally, to disseminate emotional, to just create a landscape where being emotional is welcome and is appreciated and is accepted. And it's so difficult to do in a prison setting, and especially to do it while maintaining, you know, what they understand to be kind of necessary male elements. So to kind of maintain your dignity as a male, but still be able to be very highly emotionally in tune and emotionally expressive. And so we always talk about prison, you know, whenever we leave the Pawsitive Change program, it's like it's like you're arriving at Disneyland. That's the only way I know how to explain the feeling. It's exhilarating. You know, you're so plugged into your purpose, and I don't know. It's beautifully magical. So yeah, today we were there 2 hours later than we had wanted to be. We had to process some paperwork and get our IDs handled and all these different things. So we got kept a little longer than we had hoped, and you guys pushed it back so we could make the podcast happen. But greatly, greatly appreciate it. Yeah. So the other things that I would love to jump into that we've been talking about is just Afghanistan. Is trying to help a couple of different rescues, Nozad and Kabul Animal Rescue, who are essentially stuck in Kabul. And
so I definitely want to get to this. Like, I definitely want to talk about that because that sounds really exciting. But for the people, like, we have a lot of listeners that probably don't know about the Pawsitive Change program. Mm-hmm. So in just a couple minutes, do you think that you can like break down what that is, how that works, just so that people understand? Because like I've had a little bit of exposure to it, and hearing you talk about and the impact that it's made on you and in the prison systems and all, but until you understand kind of everything, the pre-story a little bit. Yeah.
So Pawsitive Change is a comprehensive inmate canine training program that we operate in currently 6 state prisons, California state prisons, and 1 girls juvenile facility. And the crux, the kind of core of that program is a 14-week long live-in rescue dog, rescue people program, kind of a mutual rescue exchange whereby dogs go from high kill animal shelters in California to our ranch for a decompression period and evaluation, and then to prison. So they live in prison for 3 months. There aren't many programs like ours. There are a few, like Paws for Life is an incredible program. A lot of them, the prison programs focus on puppy raising. Ours does not. The whole purpose of our program is to create wellness through the human-animal bond, but to create hope and opportunity for incarcerated people and pets. The whole point is to create new opportunities for these abandoned, given up on animals who, you know, may feel a variety of different ways, and to also give hope and opportunity to these abandoned human beings, you know, human beings who have been essentially sequestered away from society, locked up from hope, opportunity, love, emotion, feeling, separated from all of those very human things. And that void is filled with violence, racism, segregation, hopelessness, drugs, alcohol, all of these chaotic, terrible variables that greet you when you walk into prison. So the Pawsitive Change program really ends up being like an antidote to a lot of the negativity and cyclical nonsense that is rampant, that is just culturally worn into the prison system.
Okay, I want to take a quick break right here. I'm going to take a quick break. Time out.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no, that's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison, why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopRex.org, brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I'm Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn to spot a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. I'm Paul George. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Dear John, I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is serious, and I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to when you checked on me? I don't want to leave, but remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart and don't let it quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range today. For help keeping yours at a healthy range, text PRESSURE to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take 1.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard, so you don't need to sell all your belongings and live in a commune.
These dungarees belong to all of us now, Tom.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman!
You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Fenix Media. Listen live and explore more great shows at phoenixmedia.us.
Okay, so I just want to because I want to slow this down because I know that probably for you, Zach, you talk about this and you explain this program so many times. And for myself and probably many of our listeners, this is my first time really hearing of something like this. And so I literally have the chills. I'm probably going to cry through most of this episode and it's totally fine. It's very normal. Spoiler alert. Totally. I cry a lot. But what I'm really hearing and what I'm finding extremely compassionate about this program is that there's the parallels of this idea, because here we talk about animal welfare a lot, and we're really into the human animal bond and what that creates. And we know how much rescue dogs can be a hero for us. And so this is legitimately you're taking that sentiment and then just amplifying it and being oh, you think they can save regular people? Watch them totally change prisoners, which I mean, I think not going too far into politics, but the prison system is just so far beyond broken there is no opportunity for rehabilitation for most of our inmates in this country. It's very sad. So you're literally rehabilitating dogs and people at the same time. Correct?
Yeah.
Wow.
To give you a vision of what our program looks like, we are on the high security yard at North Current State Prison. It's a very large prison. This is where we work today. It's like this at all of the facilities we work on. You walk into you go through a variety of different gates and you approach the yard. The yard is essentially a track. It's a large track with some sports activity enrichment areas. The entire yard is as intimidating as you would assume. It's several hundred, if not 1,000 inmates, all broken up into race. So, whites, blacks, Southerners, Northerners, others, everybody's just rigidly separated. And the vibe is intense. As soon as you lay foot on that yard, all eyes are on you. And you gaze across this yard, all of these, shirtless, tattooed, intense individuals are kind of milling about. And you see this enormous 2-story high Pawsitive Change silhouette painting that says North Kern State Prison Pawsitive Change. And it's painted on the side of the dorm. And it's this beacon of light emanating from this extremely dark place. And, we walk across that yard and, we'll walk past areas that are strictly segregated. So people won't be able to follow us, depending on what race they're a part of, into different areas. But when we're bringing dogs in, like next Tuesday, we'll be bringing dogs in. And to watch the reactions from people, many of whom haven't seen a dog in 20 years, have not seen a dog in 20 years. Like, we forget about that. We understand incarceration. But we forget that a dog represents unconditional love. A dog represents acceptance. A dog represents a safe place. A dog represents understanding, like reciprocity. And it happens instantaneously. It just occurs. They don't even have to have much of an interaction. It's like prison restricts your ability to be emotional, because it's not safe to be emotional. It's not safe. Our program makes it safe. Our program
I feel like probably most of the people you're working with didn't have the clearance to be emotionally free even before they arrived there.
Yeah.
So that was probably a disadvantage to them and a huge contributing factor to them even arriving at the state that they're in.
Yeah, most of I relate very heavily to most of our guys. Most of our guys are in some form of recovery, from alcohol or drugs. Most of our guys were incarcerated at young ages. So most of them spent time in California Youth Authority, various juvenile detention centers. So they are products of the system 100%. And that maturity, that emotional maturity, has been stifled, and they've never had a place where they can cultivate that. And what we do in the program is cultivate emotional honesty by making it imperative. You have to understand what you are feeling in order to be honest with your dog. If you don't check yourself and feel that you are feeling, because everything you're feeling gets channeled through that leash into that dog. Your dog will see right through whatever bullshit facade you're trying to portray. They will see right through you. So a huge part of this is being able to say, I feel insecure. I feel scared. I feel nervous, anxious. I feel lonely. I feel I'm missing home. I feel any of what you're feeling, but learn to communicate that and do so in a safe environment, and do so where you're not only going to be accepted for it, but you're going to be, promoted and encouraged to do so. And to watch the floodgates open is really magical. A lot of these guys have been holding on to their emotions for so long, which is kind of the most inhumane thing as a very emotional person. You know what I mean? When I think to myself, what would be torture? What is emotional torture? And that's not being able to express how you're feeling, what you're truly feeling, and have to really portray this ingenuine facade. It is cruel. And the program really helps guys understand who they are, understand what they're feeling. And we really cultivate a safe space whereby they, give speeches. They have homework
and they just have
week.
Permission.
Yeah. And it's really built into our curriculum. A day in the life of the course is, so we'll go in on a Monday, for instance, at North Kern State Prison, and it's a 3 to 4 hour course. And it would be myself. There's usually 2 trainers. There's usually Robert and Stephanie, or Leah or Lisa, or Sam and Kim. There's a variety of different trainers that we employ in the program. I kind of float around but it's a 3 to 4 hour program. We have usually 30 student inmates, 10 dogs. So those 10 dogs live in the pod. So the housing unit is broken up into pods. So a yard will typically have several pods. So one pod will hold 90 to 120 men. All of our men will congregate, will live in that pod. All the dogs will live in that pod, and those men there'll be 3 men per dog. So all hours of the day, that dog is being trained for 3 straight months. They spend roughly 13 and a half hours a day working with their guys, working with their people. And they're following the Canine Good Citizen certification. So they're following those testing points. The CGC is a 10-point testing, process, whereby at the end of our class, they are tested. Our testers go in. Most of our trainers are testing certified for CGC. So they'll have to perform. They'll have to get through that. And we've never had someone not graduate. We have 100% graduation rate. We also have 100% recidivism or 0% recidivism. And what I mean by that is none of our guys have gone back to prison. We have, I think, graduated 600 men. Something like 55 have been released from prison. And to our knowledge, none of them have gone back to prison. The national average is 75% go back to prison, essentially within 6 years of offending or being released. And there's just, I think it would be a disservice if we didn't get into the politics a little bit, not necessarily right or left or anything like that. But from a taxpayer standpoint, it's very important to understand that the prison system is creating hyper dangerous individuals by incarcerating them in such a dark, negative place. We are only encouraging recidivism. And what does that mean? Well, we're encouraging two things: more violence to be inflicted upon human beings when they get out of prison, and more money to be spent on locking them up when they get caught again. In California.
I think the biggest thing that probably most people don't realize is that prisons are privatized and they're financially soluble, which is horrible to say, but I think it's important to say that. And so it does serve the system for the prisoners to return. Yeah. So I think it's groundbreaking that you're like doing this work, because you don't see reform programs commonly in our systems here in the States. It's very unfortunate.
Yeah, we don't. And it's hard. The system itself, it took us a long time to just get into prison. It took us years of begging, and paying for it. We pay for it. The state doesn't pay for it.
I was wondering about that. I was going to
PDCR doesn't pay for it. The taxpayers don't pay for it. Private donors pay for it. All of our programs. We had some support for a while, but when COVID happened, all of the money, every fucking dollar went to housing formerly incarcerated. So they're not being prepared for release, and the bottom can fall out for you. And guys have all the structure and all of the kind of lifelines built into prison, where everything's regimented and they're just taking care of you by the very nature of prison. It can be very intimidating if you don't have family, if you don't have work, if you don't have a means to support yourself. It can feel, the walls can close in quickly when you're released from prison. And it really requires setting these guys up emotionally for getting out of prison. You got to think about it this way. When you're down and locked up for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, a lot of our guys are my age. I'm 41 and they've been locked up for more than 20 years. That's half of their life.
They have no relationships. They have no skills at
only negativity.
Building relationships.
Someone like yourself, right? They've never interacted with a female in the last 20 years in a really like a normal, friendly, hey, how was your day? How are you? Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Zach. It's never that. It's always someone who's in a position of authority over them. So can you imagine not having seen a female in 20 years and then just being out on the streets, not having interacted with someone? Like how awkward some of those interactions can be. And I think we just have lost a tremendous amount of empathy for what it means to make a mistake. Even if you're a young kid, most of these guys were kids, and to not have a way to redeem yourself, not have a way in this society to say, look, that's not me. Please forgive me. There really isn't much of a way, but there sure as shit is a way through positive change. Yes. There is no better, even my dad was somebody who wasn't sold on this when we first presented it. Didn't really like the idea of his son going into maximum security prisons and maybe why are you working with those guys instead of working with maybe other people that might deserve it more, And then he started, listening to me and when I would come out of prison and how I would be feeling and how jazzed and how, and just all the change and the positivity and the potential, just the endless potential that exists within our prison systems. These guys have just never been believed in.
Never been.
They've just, and same with these dogs, they have a tendency to believe their own stories, which is, I'm just an addict who's been locked up for 20 years. I'm just this, I'm just that. And what's also exciting about that is the pet industry. The pet industry is $100 billion industry.
Yes.
It is enormous.
Just here in the States.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's crazy. 100 billion. Yeah. And what incarcerated people have always needed is an economy that believed in them. Yes. Yeah. An economy that didn't segregate them or didn't prejudge them. And through the lens of rescue dogs, people will just drop their guard. Whatever natural guard we have up about formerly incarcerated, you put a rescue dog in front of them, and we forget about it. We get right back to the heart. We get right back to empathy. Dogs just facilitate the more humane reactions, the more like righteous reactions in people. They help us to see the truth, whereas we're so polarized naturally. It's so black and white, left and right, all the rest of it. And dogs really help people to see the potential in these guys and girls. And to see so many of our guys get out of prison and find employment. I mean, this is a dog. You guys know the dog world pretty well. There aren't a lot of black and brown people in the work that we do, much less male, much less.
I was just going to say,
black and brown men. Yeah. And the majority of our graduates are black and brown men who have found employment in this, who are not only found employment, but many of them are small business owners. Many of them are employing other graduates. I mean, we have one of our guys who's doing an amazing job. I just marvel at his success and who he is as a person. And he's trying to support another one of our guys. And there's just a lot of guys helping guys. They're really succeeding out in this world. They're owning businesses, and they're taxpayers. They're small business owners. And there's just an absolute ton of potential in these individuals because they have experienced the darkness, because they have experienced a wide spectrum of emotional pain, suffering, all of it. They have just a wealth of experience,
etc.
And if you can get through being down, if you can get through a 20-year bid and get out of prison with a decent attitude, I mean, good God, you're a special person, because prison tries to take it all away from you. And they emerge with their humanity still intact and still focused on, they just blow me away, man. I am more impressed, and I've been healed personally by these individuals more than almost, people I've known since I was in grade school. There's just a very special bond that we have.
Okay. On that note, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and I'm the center of attention at summer barbecues. In '96, I made some of the tastiest s'mores. And in '09, it was me, your backyard fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when a summer breeze carried one of my embers into some dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com, brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Hey everyone, let's all stop what we're doing and take a moment. You see, every moment can be kind of special. But they can be loud moments, goofy moments, dorky moments, it doesn't matter. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter, Brooklyn, was also a motivation for me to go back to school. Every day after work, went straight to school, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
What if I told you that a tornado was going to happen tomorrow, right where you live? That it would touch down at exactly 3:17 p.m., and I told you the exact path it would take. You would, of course, prepare. You would talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a tornado will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you have a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Fenix Media. Listen live and explore more great shows at phoenixmedia.us.
So there was something that you said, Zach, that really stuck out to me. There's one word that you said, and in the break, we kind of went into something else, but you said that your dad wanted you to work with people who deserved it more. And I think that that's such an interesting word, because when I think about inmates, there's this weird. And so this gets into what you were saying during the break, which is there's this, if you're anti-inmate, you're if you're pro-inmate, you're anti other things. And I try to just kind of get down to the fact that this is a human life. And we've been discussing, a lot of these people have been there since they were kids. They messed up one time, I can just share my husband's son graffitied on a bathroom wall in Beverly Hills and got sent to juvie because it's Beverly Hills, and got sucked up into the system and ended up being a drug dealer till he was in his mid-20s, and just sucked right back into the system again. He's totally clean and happy now. But this is a thing that happens because when he was 14, he tagged a bathroom wall. How is that not someone who's deserving of a reformation or a second chance? Yeah. So that's my bias, but I understand where a lot of people don't think that way. They're oh my God, they're all murderers and rapists. And that's not really true. So why are these people not deserving of an opportunity to be shown love, compassion, empathy, and an opportunity so that when they get out, they can do something with their lives that isn't going to land them back in prison, which is the whole idea of rescue dogs, right? And I know Jasen, the Forever brand is all about this idea of not getting stuck on that story Fluffy was beaten and his eye is now missing, but he's such a good boy. It's more this is an incredible dog with a lot of love to give. And I think what your program is doing is helping us look at humans in that way, which I think is the most compassionate thing that we all 100%. Need to do.
There's a couple famous quotes that I meld together. One of them is essentially, you can judge a nation based on how they treat their incarcerated. And then another one is something similar, but in reference to animals. I've
heard that.
With people, you can judge a person based on how they, right? Mm-hmm. So I tend to think of, there's just how we treat incarcerated people and how we, whether or not we choose to empathize with them is a critical decision. And for a long time, since really forever, but certainly in the mid 90s during the big, war on drugs and this big kind of law and order epidemic, if you will, where the mass incarceration was essentially created in the mid 90s. We have lost our empathy. We have lost our empathy with people who have never, in many cases, never had a chance. It's not that they messed up and we ought to forgive them. It's that they never had a chance. And they've been victims of so much pain and trauma. I mean, I know, hundreds of inmates and their stories intimately, and, communicate with a variety of guys. And we have breakout sessions in prison to unpack these things. And many of them have lived existences that you just cannot fathom. Mm-hmm. And to not allow ourselves to have empathy for people who have committed crimes, or allow ourselves to have empathy for these situations, is just wrong. We've just been taught for a long time that we keep the bad people over here. We separate ourselves from the bad people. And after all, they're tattooed and dressed in blue and they're in prison, which must mean that they're bad. So we don't want anything to do with them. We don't want any resources for them. We don't want to, we're going to not provide anything for them. And the opposite should be true. We should be looking at each of these souls. There's 10 million children directly connected to incarcerated parents right now in America. 10 million. Just pause on that for a minute. What did those kids do wrong? Their parents are locked up. What do you think that's going to do to their life? You know what the chances of that an incarcerated child will go to a child of an incarcerated person will go to prison? 80%. You essentially quadruple their chances of going to prison by locking up their parents. So we got to have empathy for these things, and we got to unpack these things instead of being so reactive. We just want to be reactive. And, prison has been used as a political football to one degree or another, where it's like, if you believe in redemption, you're one end of the spectrum. And if you believe in like crime and punishment, then you're on the other end. And it's just incorrect. We just need to force ourselves to be more empathetic in all ways. And there's nothing more empathetic than a dog.
I was just going to say, I think that's where the dog fills that zone, is that unconditional empathy.
The bridge.
Like they just don't, they don't care. Like they're not sitting there worrying about what somebody did or is going to do. They're just living in the moment. And you had mentioned it a little bit earlier, Zach, on when you bring a dog into the relationship, like, for example, my dad used to actually not do business with people that didn't like, because his dogs would go to the shop with him all the time. And if they came in, they're like, ooh, like weirded out about the dogs, he would not do business with them. It was just like an indicator. And so like the same thing, like you can learn a lot about how somebody treats an animal. And regardless of what you look like, if you get down on the ground and you're playing with a Pomeranian, my trust for you, especially in that moment, is through the roof. Like I can overlook, I don't really care about anything else. It just builds that opportunity of having a conversation about something, sharing a story, and still being able to build a quick relationship through another living being.
Yeah.
Yay, human animal bond.
Well, what does the human animal bond teach us most? It enables us to do better human bonding.
Correct.
Because I don't fucking trust people. I've been burnt a lot of times by people that I care. And if I just listen to myself, I wouldn't like anybody. I don't get me wrong. I love people. A lot of people in our line of work like to, favorite.
I know it's a weird thing. I don't understand how you can be a dog trainer, not like people. Like 90% of my job is speaking to my dog's owners. I can't talk to the dogs. I can't be like, okay, Fluffy, mommy's going to tell you to sit and you need to do it now. Like, that's not how this works.
Yeah. We're on the other end. We started doing dog photography because it was so much better than family photography. Like we didn't have to pretend to like a bunch of people. It was just, we would tell the dogs they could stay at the studio for the day, but there was no way you were leaving your kids. So
I got to pause on that since you just introduced the topic, but still to this day, I don't think there is I don't even think I can look at you while I say this, but there is not a more emotional video or the pictures you guys took of our family were incredible. And, our dog passed about a year after you guys took those pictures. And, my wife and I we still look at those pictures regularly, and they're so special. That was just our girl. That was our very special girl, and she died in front of our daughter. And it was awful, but I have these pictures of her with my daughter that you guys took and with our whole family. And during COVID, my father-in-law got sick, really sick a couple of times. And the whole gang is in those pictures. And I can't tell you how many times I looked at those images. I have them in this little folder on my phone. I stare at them all the time. And I'll never be able to thank you enough for that, man.
We are absolutely honored. And Christy will love hearing that message as well. So thank you.
It was remarkable. It's more remarkable because I'll never forget Christy's style. I'm going, is this for real? Like she was just, what is happening? This is the most unconventional photo shoot I've ever been in. What is happening right now? And I remember you looked over me at one point and you were like, trust the process or something like that. And I was like, all right, dude. All right, I get it. And then the pictures.
Yeah, Christy has a way. I was sobbing in her shoot. She's like, just tell me about them. I'm like, why do I feel this way right now?
I couldn't believe it, man. I mean, some of those of what you guys captured, it was remarkable. There's such powerful moments.
So I want to, because I know it's something that's really important to you. So I want to make sure that
we don't gloat on us anymore. You're just going to take it.
I know. I just want to make sure that we get. Oh my goodness. Well, I just
it's very much appreciated, Zach. Very, very, very much.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's Miss Cora.
Oh, hello, baby.
Oh, Rose.
Oh, is it precious?
There's a whole gaggle of dogs in here. They've just, I'm sure you can hear them itching and working.
The table every once in a while is like,
yeah.
Okay. So let's really, we've got just like 1 minute before the break, but I just want to like quickly get a little summary on like what's going on in Afghanistan. And then I want to talk about what happened to you today, but why don't you let everybody know like what's going on over there? I mean, obviously probably a lot of people are invested on the human side. So like enlighten us a little bit on the animal side.
Sure. There's specifically two organizations in Afghanistan that are really wonderful and that are stuck in Kabul. One of them is Kabul Animal Rescue. The other is Nowzad, which was founded by this gentleman, Penn Farthing. He's a United Kingdom Marine. He was a UK Marine, fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, was in the military for 22 years, started that organization in country in Kabul to save lives. And when the US started to pull out and the Taliban took over Kabul, they became stranded. 71 employees of Penn and something similar for Kabul Animal Rescue. So they are stranded in Kabul, both of these organizations, all of their animals, each have a lot of animals, 200, near 200 for Nowzad and I think like 100 for KAR. And we're just trying to do our best to figure out how to help get them out of the country. There is options for human beings, but no options for dogs. There are options for Westerners, but no options for their Afghani counterparts. And they don't want to leave their staff. They don't want to leave their veterinarians. They don't want to leave their kennel staff. They don't want to leave the people that they know are in danger when America fully pulls out on the 30th and the Taliban takes over. They're just not safe. But having professionals leave the country, the Taliban doesn't want professionals to leave. People, doctors, veterinarians, those who would help rebuild the country. They don't want them. They're resources to them. And they're not safe. And it's heartbreaking. I just can't help but think of myself as being him or her, the founders of these organizations. And I just feel helpless. We've all just felt helpless. There's this, thousands and thousands of us that have been following these stories online and trying to contact our local politicians and people overseas and our local military attaches and everybody we can. And, we had yesterday, they were on their way out. They had an aircraft. They raised $250,000 to get out of Afghanistan, but they can't get their call sign, which is their permission to land at the airport in Kabul. So today, all we've been trying to do is find the proper authorities to reach who can assign them a call sign to get them the authority to land at the airport. Still don't know.
Hold on. We got to take a quick break. I want to get more into what's going on today because that's what you were like rushing in from. But let's take a quick break.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone
being bullied online, you can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I'm Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn to spot a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. I'm Paul George. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Fenix Media. Listen live and explore more great shows at fenixmedia.us.
Okay, so we're back with Zach. So you were flustering in. So you told us that you, 11 p.m. last night, you got some news. So what's going on?
What's really interesting is our friends from SPCA International are visiting. So they came down, the border in Canada finally opened up. So they came down to shadow the Pawsitive Change program today, which was incredible.
Cool.
And Lori, who is,
we love Lori.
she's the best.
She's amazing.
She'll be here in 5 minutes.
Oh, you have to bring her in. So have her say hi.
Bring her in.
Yeah.
Totally.
We love Lori.
So,
I was going to ask you about SPCA.
She's connected to everybody in all over the world. And I've been on her behalf or with her all over the globe, working with dog stuff. And so having her be able to reach Penn and reach Cobble Animal Rescue is really important because I don't have a point of contact there. And their email and their Instagram messages, like you can imagine, are just thousands
flooded.
of messages. And we had all these really interesting developments take place where folks reached out from a variety of different political offices today with some real hard intelligence that's helpful. Some of our folks who work out at Edwards Air Force Base, which is right near here, really kicked into gear. So I have a buddy who's an officer out there, and I could not believe some of the messages he's been sending me today where top brass is coalescing to talk about trying to make things happen. And it's just a beautiful thing to see so many people, come together to try and help other people. A lot of times the people of animal rescue get forgotten. We are just here to sacrifice our lives and our time and our sanity and our, all the rest of it.
Capital on all caps on the sanity.
Yes. So to see them, to see so many people coming together and so many people messaging, and I really can't take any credit. All I'm doing is posting things on social media, and folks are sending me, information, which hopefully will be helpful. And we'll find out from Lori, later today if she's able to make contact and if any of this stuff will work. But the next 48 hours are critical. If they're not out by or have a exit plan by the 30th, this is going to get ugly quick.
No pressure.
Yeah.
So
that's really intense.
So what kind of things, is it out of our hands at this point? Is there anything that people can do to make an influence on this or an impact or like?
Well, the only thing people can do, which they really can, is contact their local politicians, whether it's your state assemblyman or your state senator, all the way up to your, actual United States House of Representatives or senator, and let them know what's going on. Let them know this is something you're interested in, that these Westerners are stuck, that the people who have helped save all these lives are stuck, and that it's very important. We're up against two big problems. One is people who don't have Western passports needing rescue. So those human beings needing a place to go. And the other is animals. And transporting animals right now optically looks weird because it looks like you're prioritizing animals over people. But most of these animals, as far as I know, in terms of transport aircraft or airlines, there's not going to be a lot of stuff in the cargo bay. The cargo bays are enormous. So that's where the animals would go, is in cargo. So it's not taking up space for people. The civilian exit force or extrapolation force that they've just commissioned, the president, I think, sent 300 civilian airliners over there to start ferrying people. And like I said, those cargo holds are going to be relatively empty. So that's where the animals could go. So I'm just really hoping and praying.
Is the CDC ban on the importation
exactly
just
what I was just going to ask too?
It's just out the door for this because this is like an emergency.
It's not out the door. There's problem after problem with this. I mean, the United States of America. So I don't know if this is official stance or not, but it was communicated to me by someone anonymous that if the military does get involved and they are chartering military aircraft, that there is most likely will be a way around the CDC ban because they're not coming in through normal channels. They'll be coming in through military channels. So I think if it was a military aircraft that helped rescue these animals, like say we made this is in my perfect world scenario, we make enough noise that people in power, politicians and whomever else, will take notice of how important this is to the American people, and they will come to their aid. And they will use a military aircraft to ferry them out of Afghanistan into somewhere safe. And I mean, we're talking about, we have 20 acres here in Tehachapi that we offered to, if we can get the dogs over, we can help them stage here. We could even help provide jobs here. I don't know, that's getting way ahead of ourselves. But I learned about Penn. He's this really remarkable guy. I first learned about him in like 2013 or 2014. He got the CNN Heroes Award, right? That's when I remember seeing him on TV. And I followed him for a couple of years after that. I don't remember what happened in terms of not following him anymore, but he's just a remarkable guy. And I relate to him. I was not in military service, but you just really pull for these people and you see what he's done for that community and what he's done for abandoned pets in that community and what he's done for military dogs and civilian dogs that were over there. And he's just a special guy, and they deserve help, man. They really do.
Okay. Not to make just like an abrupt left turn.
No, it's all about.
We've come to the end.
Really already?
I know. It happened so fast.
Is that a reference to History of the World Part 1? Is that what that was?
No. Yeah.
Yeah, just ride that one out there, Sylvia.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Have you not seen it? It's a Mel Brooks comedy from the 80s.
Okay, so yeah.
You should have. Look it up.
I will.
Look it up.
Okay, but speaking of comedies, Jason is going to give us his iteration of comedy. I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to our Hubble podcast, but we do end every episode in a very special way every time. So, Jason, whenever you're
Are you ready?
Whenever you're ready, sir.
All right. Where do dogs go to get a new tail?
I don't know. Where do they go?
A retail store, obviously.
Come on. I should have given it a shot. I think I could have come up with it. Dang it.
I just want to take a quick moment to thank all of our listeners, my amazing co-host, Jason, our amazing, freaking wonderful guest, Zach Skow, for just all the time that he.
Man, there's going to be a lot of links on this show.
So many links. Yeah.
A lot of
talked about Cora. There's so many Instagrams for you guys to check out.
Cora has her own Instagram account as well. Like, I mean,
she is a Marley's two-legged
Mutts,
wonder.
and there's a lot of Instagram accounts. We'll try and get as many as possible. in the show notes.
Anyways, please check us out on social media, Dogish Podcast, at Dug Up in This Bitch, and at Forever USA.
All that stuff.
If there's a topic or personality that you would like discussed on the show or you want us to interview, we want to hear from you because we're not doing this for ourselves. I mean, kind of. But anyways, until next time, you guys.
Awesome. See you later.